pensioners called terrorists, veterans mocked. You won't believe what Labour ministers have been saying behind closed doors. Reporters have uncovered Labour's darkest secrets, and they go deeper than you think. The WhatsApp scandal that's rocking the party right now is showing us a whole different side of Keir Starmer's team. And let me tell you, it's not pretty. Remember Andrew Gwynn, the guy who was Labour's shadow health secretary? Well, he's not anymore. And when you hear what he's been saying in these leaked WhatsApp messages, you'll understand why. This bloke actually hoped an elderly constituent who complained about bins would die. Yeah, you heard that right. An MP, someone who's supposed to be serving the people, wishing death on one of them. But it gets worse. Gwynn also joked about another constituent getting hit by a truck. I mean, who does that? Is this really the kind of person we want representing us in Parliament? But Gwynn's not the only one with a loose tongue and even looser morals. Oliver Ryan, another Labour MP, was right there in the chat. And what was Ryan's contribution to this mess? Mocking people for their sexuality. Real classy, right? Is this the kind of progressive party Labour claims to be? Now, Starmer is trying to distance himself from all this. He's probably hoping we'll all just forget about it and move on. But come on, these are his top people we're talking about. These aren't just some random party members or low-level staffers. These are the folks Starmer chose to represent Labour, to shape policy, to be the face of the party. So, the big question we've got to ask is this just the tip of the iceberg? Are we going to see more of these nasty messages coming out? And more importantly, what does this say about the culture within the Labour Party? For years, Labour has been trying to shake off the nasty party label. They've been telling us they're all about kindness, compassion, and standing up for the little guy. But these messages, they paint a very different picture. It's starting to look like Labour's nasty party image isn't just sticking, it's taking root. This whole mess reminds me of something my old granddad used to say. Give a man enough rope and he'll hang himself. Well, it looks like Labour's been given plenty of rope, and they're doing a fine job of tying themselves in knots. But here's the thing that really gets me. These MPs, they're not just insulting random people. They're mocking and wishing harm on their own constituents, the very people who voted them into office, who trust them to represent their interests. It's a betrayal of the worst kind. And let's not forget, these messages weren't meant for public consumption. This is how these Labour bigwigs talk when they think no one's listening. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else are they saying behind closed doors? What other nasty little secrets are they keeping? Starmer's got a real problem on his hands now. He's trying to present Labour as a united professional alternative to the Tories. But how can he do that when his own team is falling apart at the seams? How can he claim the moral high ground when his MPs are caught red-handed being, well, downright nasty? Just when you thought Keir Starmer's troubles couldn't get any worse, he's gone and ticked off a whole new group of voters. And these aren't your average angry constituents. They've got tractors, and they're not afraid to use them. That's right, Starmer has managed to turn the countryside against him, and it's all because of some big changes he wants to make to inheritance tax for farmers. This isn't just about money. It's about their entire way of life. When a farmer passes away, they usually want to leave their farm to their kids. But with Starmer's new plan, those kids might have to sell off chunks of the farm just to pay the tax bill. Not exactly the Labour is for the working people message Starmer has been trying to push, is it? And let me tell you, these farmers aren't taking it lying down. They've been out in force, showing Starmer and his team exactly what they think of this brilliant idea. We're talking tractors blocking roads in London, for crying out loud. The heart of the city brought to a standstill by a bunch of angry farmers. It's like something out of a bizarre political comedy, except it's actually happening. But it gets even better. Starmer had to cancel a visit to a housing development in Buckinghamshire because of these protests. That's right, the leader of the Labour Party, running scared from a bunch of farmers on tractors. And how's Starmer handling all this? Well, he's trying to frame it as some kind of noble sacrifice. He's got the nerve to stand there and say, what you can't have is interest rates coming down, the growth we need in the economy, your waiting lists coming down, and maintaining the tax break for farmers. Oh, come on, Keir. Are you seriously trying to pit farmers against the rest of the country? During one of these protests, Starmer actually had the gall to ask, do they want their waiting lists to come down? Do they want their mortgages to come down? The economy to start working for everyone? As if farmers aren't part of everyone. As if their livelihoods don't matter. It's like he's living in some alternate reality where you can just throw an entire industry under the bus and expect everyone else to cheer. And here's the kicker. According to NFU President Tom Bradshaw, this tax change won't even make that much of a difference. He's saying that raising between nothing and $550 million from these changes wouldn't substantially impact the future of the NHS or UK schools. So, Starmer is willing to alienate an entire sector of the economy for what exactly? A drop in the bucket that won't even solve the problems he's claiming it will. It's like Starmer is playing some weird game of political chicken. He's betting that he can afford to lose the rural vote because, what? He thinks farmers don't matter. Has he forgotten that food doesn't just magically appear in supermarkets? But here's the thing. Farmers aren't known for forgetting easily. They're not the type to just shrug their shoulders and say, oh well, at least he tried. No, they're the type to hold a grudge, to remember who stood with them and who threw them under the bus. And right now, Starmer's name is mud in rural communities across the country. This whole debacle is exposing a fundamental flaw in Starmer's leadership. He's showing that he's willing to sacrifice one group to appease another. That he's not afraid to pit different parts of the country against each other. Is that really the kind of leader we want? Someone who's willing to throw hard-working people under the bus for a quick political win? If you thought Starmer's farmer fiasco was bad, wait till you hear about the revolt of the rich. We're talking about a collapsing confidence that's making millionaires consider fleeing the country. And the reason? It's got everything to do with a certain shadow chancellor's not-so-brilliant ideas. Remember when Labour was all about the working class? Well, apparently, Starmer didn't get the memo. He's managed to tick off wealthy Labour supporters so badly that some are thinking about packing up and leaving the country.